What's up, everyone? Welcome back to After the Storm. This is the Canes game review for game number 29 of the season, a 5-1 win against the LA Kings. So before we even get into the intro portion of this episode, and we'll break the game down, of course, we obviously got to talk about what's going on in the NHL and what this episode will be. So we'll go through the game, of course, but at the end of this, I'm going to kind of just recap the season a little bit because I assume that this is going to be the last episode I do for a little while. I hope that's not the case. I hope I am wrong, but in the event that it is, I'm going to prepare for it. And with the way the COVID numbers are going with the Omicron variant and everything right now, and the way that the games are being postponed, and the fact that the Olympics is probably not happening for the league and all that stuff, it's just we're looking towards a shutdown at some point. Now we might just go back to really enhanced protocols and everything will be fine. It'll be like last year, and hopefully some teams don't really bite the COVID bullet that much, but it seems with the way this variant of COVID is spreading, we're probably going to be looking at a shutdown. I mean, I don't think it's the best option, and of course I hope it doesn't happen, but in the event we're going to play like this is the last one for a while and go with that. Introing this one, again, as I mentioned already in this one, last game for a while is what I wrote down. Probably it certainly feels like this might be the last one for a little while. Anderson to start in the net for Carolina, Jonathan Quick at the other end. CJ Smith and Josh Leivo also drawn to the lineup as emergency recalls from the Chicago Wolves. As we kick off the first period, early on, Jesperi Kotkaniemi finds a loose puck. Jonathan Quick looks like he kind of had this one. I thought he did, even on the replay. I thought, this is kind of a play you can blow down if you're a referee. Doesn't. He pulls the puck out from Jonathan Quick's pad, shoots it into the gaping cage. Canes are up 1-0 early. They ended up reviewing it. It's a good goal. Jesperi Kotkaniemi's 7th of the season. Carolina heads to the power play after LA challenges it, their first power play of the night. And on a Slavin point shot, a Jesper Foss tip, it is 2-0 early. I think Canes have only had 3 shots at this point, so 2 goals on 3 shots. Jonathan Quick is getting, bombarded early on. Freddie he had a fantastic game in this one. Huge stops here. Makes a big save on Brendan Lemieux. Another one on Victor Arvidsson, a backhander that the puck just bounced in front. Tracked it very well. And then his biggest one sliding across, gets the pad on an Adrian Kempe one-timer. Huge stops from him in what was really his first test of the game. Brachet goes to the penalty box holding on Adrian Kempe, so LA with their first power play of the game. Carolina's second best. I looked at this a little while ago. Pittsburgh has the best penalty kill in the league, and I don't think anybody's been talking about that, but Carolina's the second best so far, and another easy kill here. And then a little bit of injury concern. Sean Durzi with a hit. I didn't think it was a great hit, but I also didn't really see much intent on the play, not an intent to injure, just a tough one. Looks like he gets a bit of head contact. It's definitely interference. So Carolina heads back to the power play. Martin Necas wouldn't end up returning in this one. That would come a little bit later. But ultimately, he jumped right back out on the ice for the power play, and then they pulled him to concussion protocol. And maybe, I figure it's not a concussion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anybody who knows anything medically, of course. But to me, this kind of seemed like maybe his neck was a little dinged up, and at that point you're already up 2-0. The momentum of the game swinging really hard in Carolina's favor. Why even put Necas back out? It's the last game before the break. Don't risk an injury. Just sit him for the game. Not a ton of chances on this power play for the Carolina Hurricanes. LA kills this one off. Foss would have another chance. He was buzzing all game in this one. First star of the night as well. He got a chance on a Brady Shea rebound, and somehow this one stayed out. He batted out in midair, just went to the right of the left side, or I guess just missed the post on the left side. And then Anderson caps off the period with a nice save on Arthur Kaliev. We head to the first intermission, 2-0 Carolina. Second period starts off, and the Canes head to their third power play of the game. A Brett Pesce shot this one originally gets credited to Jack Jury, but he'd get this back later in the game. Pesce shot looks like it's tipped by Trevor Moore in front, the former Toronto Maple Leaf. Goes off of him. He knows it immediately. past Jonathan Quick. Another power play goal. Canes are leading 3-0 early into the second. It was at this point that they announced that Martiniches was not returning for the rest of the game. Shea goes back to the box for holding again, and LA goes to their second power play of the game. Trocheck ends up with a shorthanded chance, but he's pretty tired. Barely got I don't think he even got the shot off. I think it was blocked. But hey, really at the end of his shift, he didn't have any energy left. That would do it for this power play as well. Carolina's really good penalty kill just keeps on moving. Lizotte takes a high sticking penalty on Brendan Smith. Jeez, now there's two Smiths. On Brendan Smith, sending the Canes to their fourth power play of the game. And on this power play, a very clean wrist shot that Jonathan Quick absolutely should have had. Not screened, not tipped, not deflected, not hidden, not a weird play at all. This is a clean wrist shot from Teuvo Teravainen on the left side dot. That just beats Jonathan Quick clean. 4-0 Carolina. Teravainen's 7th of the year, just like Jesperi Kotkaniemi earlier in the game. The Kings do get one back on Carolina, though. Blake Lizotte comes down, a nice shot over the glove of Frederik Andersen. He is the player I'm, of course, highlighting. This guy is like one of my favorite players around the league. I would give anything for Blake Lizotte to be on the Carolina Hurricanes. Honestly, I love this player. He's got his second game in as many games against Carolina this season. And it's a 4-1 hockey game. That's how we would end the second period. Carolina a 3-goal lead heading into the third. Early on in what was a quiet third period, Nino Niederreiter heads to the box. Kings get their third penalty, or power play, I should say, of the game. Carolina kills that one off too. Stepan ends up with a breakaway. Quick makes a nice stop off of him. Tano holding on Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and somehow the center depth in Montreal just shining through everywhere else in the league. Carolina's 5th power play of the game. Ellie would kill this one off though. And then after the penalty gets killed off, Jack Jury gets through a shot above the glove of Jonathan Quick. Nice snipe from Jack Jury. Second goal in as many games. He had the one in the Detroit game, of course, his first career. Here's his second career goal. What a kid this, like, he's so good. Like, the prospects and the way they're being developed all over the place, it's just crazy to me. This organization has really found a success here. There's so many guys coming. So that would cap this game off 5-1. Carolina Hurricanes take a big win against the LA Kings. And it should be mentioned here as well. This is a game that half the roster's out for. Like, they played so well against a pretty healthy, I'd say, aside from Drew Doughty, aside from Cal Peterson, this is a pretty healthy LA Kings squad. And Carolina's basically like a training camp roster here, like an intra-squad scrimmage game roster, and they won handedly. Anyways, let's get on some player analysis. The good here, of course, let's start off Jack Jury. Another great game from him. 2 goals in 2 games. He's been excellent. I think all the guys that have come up from Chicago have been good. CJ Smith was pretty decent in this one too. Didn't get a lot of playing time. Stefan Nason, his speed is his differentiating factor for sure. Josh Levo, just a good power forward. Podorowski, I really liked his game too. Just a speedy guy who you can trust on the power play to make some plays. Honestly, it's just crazy to me like how good these players that are sitting in Chicago are and how well they can affect. And that's the byproduct of teaching the same way at the AHL level as you do at the NHL level. It's a seamless transition. Vincent Trocheck, I thought he had probably one of his strongest games of the season here. He had to play a lot of minutes and he thrived in those minutes. And of course, Frederik Andersen, I feel like I should mention Jesper Foster as an honorable mention. I didn't have him written down, but I thought, honestly, one of his strongest games, his first period was very, very good, and it just led to him having a solid game here. But Frederik Andersen, big stops in the first period. Honestly, he just had to shut the door the rest of the way through. Lets the goal in against Lizotte, but that's a beautiful shot from Blake Lizotte. Just another extremely good performance. He now leads the league in wins. He's got a Vezina caliber season already. Let's see if we are able to finish this, we might have a Vezina trophy winner on our hands. An average game, I had Stefan Nason down. I thought he did a lot of things well, and but it just seems like his puck control, his puck skills, it just aren't quite there. Skates well and forechecks well, and that's all you can really ask from a guy who you're calling up from Chicago. No bad players in this one. A very good game from everybody involved. And for LA, I'm going to highlight him again. I highlighted him in the last matchup between these two teams. Blake Lizotte. Just a great, like a small, undersized 5'7" player in this league, but man, he plays a lot bigger than that. And that snipe, he's a great player. I tweeted it out. I've said it already in this video. I would love for this guy to be on the Canes. Anyways, that wraps it up for the game portion. Let's talk about the season as a whole so far. I think the team has really exceeded expectations through 29 games this season. They look like they're legitimate contenders. Frederik Andersen is a game changer in the back end. The addition on defense of Tony DeAngelo and Ethan Bear to replace Dougie Hamilton's production has worked out tremendously. I think Bear struggled, or at least kind of cooled off as of late, and he's playing lower minutes. Ian Cole's another guy who's come in and been pretty solid. He had a few rough games. He took a lot of penalties. But ultimately, he's been solid, I think is the word to go with Ian Cole. But DeAngelo has been just a complete breath of fresh air offensively for this team. What a lot of the stuff that Dougie was producing, DeAngelo has done himself. And as long as, all the off-ice stuff doesn't rear its head and he continues to prove he's a changed player in this league, I don't see any reason why the Canes shouldn't look to keep him around. If he's this level of offense at all times and he can continue this style of play, I really don't see a reason not to keep this guy. The story as of late has been the kids, but honestly, this team has been fantastic. Sebastian Aho has been leading this team by example all season long. We've had a couple players who have been struggling. Svechnikov has been struggling. Stahl is really struggling, and he's not even playing right now. You had Nino, who went quiet there for a while, and now he's scoring lots of goals. So it's a great thing to see for this team, undoubtedly. And it looks like these guys that are coming up, who are in the pipeline, who are the next ones to knock on the door, are really going to be tremendous additions. Role players like Stepan have stepped in. Brendan Smith, I think, has been pretty solid for... I see a lot of hate for him on Twitter during the games, and I don't get it. I think he's been solid. I don't really see him make too many mistakes during the games. And for a guy who's your 7th D, who just really is a guy who you want to grab the puck and chip it off the glass and get it the hell out, he's scored a couple goals too this season, which is crazy. But that's all you want out of Brendan Smith, and I think he's delivered that. Chatfield has been another just welcome addition from down in Chicago. Lajoie has been fine when he's been in the lineup as well. As a whole, this team feels different, and I think I mentioned that like probably 14 games ago at this point. It does. It feels different. They feel like... It doesn't feel like when we went into the playoffs last year against Nashville, and I feel like that's when they lost the playoffs, was in the Nashville series. It seemed like by the time they got to Tampa, they were so mentally defeated it wasn't even worth it. It just feels like this year they're not going to run into that. They might run into Tampa again. That might be a thing that happens, of course, but again, Tampa's also really, really good. So I guess in a very roundabout way, in a very rambling way, what I'm trying to say here is I feel like this season we're not going to be seeing the Canes if they get eliminated in the playoffs, for instance. I don't think we're going to be saying it's due to them not giving it their all, or there was a lot left to be desired, I should say. It feels like if they're going to get beat, they're going to get beat, right? They're going to get beat by a better team who outplayed them, stuff like that. But last year it just seemed like the Nashville series should have been a sweep, 100%. That shouldn't have even been a series, and yet it went 6. So I think this season, I think this team is a lot different, and that's credit to the front office and what they've managed to do. They pulled in they identified Tony DeAngelo as an offensive D-man that could play next to Slavin for a lot less money and be just as effective. They identified the need for veteran leadership below on those third pairing defensive units. Again, you go from Ian Cole to Jake Bean, and of course there's not a whole lot of offensive potential with Ian Cole, but what he brings is 2 Stanley Cups. He brings the ability to just be another voice and just a steady rock. And he does the stuff that Jake Bean was not able to do, and that's physical. Block shots, throw hits, separate guys from pucks. That's the stuff Bean wasn't capable of doing, and Jake Bean was getting shoved around by Matt Duchene last year. That's embarrassing. Andersen and Ronta, again, we go from a revelation in Alex Nedeljkovic, and again, make that trade. I think people are still upset about that trade. Like, we love Ned here, and Ned's a very good goaltender, and he's been very good in Detroit. If he's not the future, you can't just kind of keep going with that. I would have been in favor of an Anderson Nedeljkovic tandem, but if Nedeljkovic's want and desire was to be a number one goaltender in this league, then move him somewhere where he can be. And Detroit's a perfect place. He gets to be with his fiance. I think everybody just looked at the trade and like, oh damn, this team is just moving a Calder finalist who played really well all year. Like, no, it wasn't really that. It was they didn't have that same vision for him, and they put him in a spot where he could be that. There's a myriad of other ones. I think the bottom six has to be commended as well. Stepan's been a great fit down there. And Kotkaniemi, of course, he's producing very well for a guy who was playing mostly fourth line. He's come up in the lineup, and it looks like he's really settled in right now. So I like where KK is at this point. He looks like he's going to be well worth an extension. But yeah, we're going to wrap up here because I feel like I've talked forever at this point. It feels good. This season feels good, and I hope it doesn't get cut short or we have to realign divisions or any of that stuff. I hope this keeps going and it all works out this year. This team has put a tremendous amount of effort, and a lot of work's been done by these guys, and it feels like there's potential that it's all going to go for a waste, but I hope it does. It's been a lot of fun to watch this team, and I hope we don't get shut down, and that in a week or so I'm back doing these videos, of course, but we don't know, right? That's the whole thing. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video today, hit that thumbs up down below. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications so you can get the video as soon as it uploads. And as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Fingers crossed.